Okay, so I had a really good question over here from James about augmented blocks. That's one thing you can do and sometimes have to do when a person is either a hard hitter or they have a heavy weapon or both, where this just isn't going to be enough. I tried with movement, with velocity, to offset. Boom! You know, you have to put more into it to deflect, that deflecting force, but sometimes that's not enough. And so what I do is I use my other hand and I'll put my, kind of like if you were doing like a karate chop right there, you put that knife edge and partly in your palm, but make sure your fingers aren't over here, to augment it. And the question was like, how far along the weapon should I put it? Well, that's a very good question, because as it slides further here, there's less supporting leverage, right? I'm moving a fulcrum, really, and this becomes the lever to stop that weapon. So a combination of stopping force and augmenting is usually enough, and it's something that you train a sense about just from doing it a lot, in practice really, from just meeting weapons and noticing like, did it work out well when she threw this and I just did this? And let's say it felt like it was a bit much. So then the next time I'll augment it and I'll do maybe an extra push into it, but also I might slide it a little bit this way. But don't go too far, of course, because then you're getting into the area where her stick is contacting mine. So this brings up another important point, which is when you become more seasoned at this, more experienced at defense, you can actually aim a certain range, let's just about this much range of your stick at her weapon. It can't be very precise like here. You down to the inch, you don't know exactly where it's going to hit. But you see the trajectory. You can extrapolate from this trajectory that I can make it hit with this, maybe this range. So now my hand stays out of that range, just so that there isn't a chance of me getting my fingers cracked, you know. So that's how you make that quick calculation. And what really happens is you do this enough times and you don't even think about it really. But in the beginning you do have to think about it, which is these momentary adjustments of where do I put this and where do I put this and how much force. It is this sort of sliding equation that you can just do on the fly. And it's like anything else, like each of you is, usually it's your work because you do the things at your job so many times, you become very good at them. Unconsciously good at them. You can just do them without thinking and you make all these adjustments. You get a new person at your job who doesn't know the job and you're trying to explain it to them, or like as if you were a carpenter or something and the new guy, or the apprentice wants to learn what you do and you're showing them some of the tricks, but then some of it is just kind of horse sense. You have to like make these quick snap judgments about how to make this or that work. That just comes with experience. And this is why it's so important that you spend time hitting sticks, that you feel it, all right? And you learn that adjustment by the feel of it, all right? And also by the visual kind of appraisal of what's coming. The person looks particularly powerful, that weapon looks particularly heavy, they're moving fast and hitting hard. Well, you adjust the kind of defense you put up based on what you see coming, right? And what this means is that there is no one-size-fits-all response. So I can't really give you like a cookie cutter, like there it is, that's all you got to do. There's different variables, and you add force or you add support where it's needed, or where the mass of your weapon is lacking, and then or your own strength. You have to, like I said, these are all factors, and you have to work all of them into that moment where you do this or that. And it's not always correct. Like recently on the mat, somebody was asking, "Oh, my legs aren't as long as yours, coach," and I'm having trouble getting that triangle choke closed, you know, where you're choking with your legs. And it turns out that yes, there's an art to that. There's an art to just doing the triangle, where you just learn how to make it fit against a person of everybody's different size, different shape. You know, you're putting them in there and you're trying to close it up, and you do it thousands of times, and then you have a sense about it. You just know how to do it, how to close it up, and how to get it just right where it's snug and it makes them tap or go to sleep. All right, so for the augmented blocks, you can do here. I favor this, where like my fingertips can just touch this, but this is here. And I can, and the rest is about the amount of force I put in, right, into it. And then I want to make sure off the completion of that I'm ready to hit. Don't fall into this trap. This is a defensive mindset, this way a little bit, where you're just always, you're always just trying to stop them. There's a difference. I'm going to reiterate this. I've said this numerous times. There's a difference between a civilian sort of self-defense mindset and a stick fighter. Now, of those two, the ones that tend to do better in attacks, situations where they're attacked, the stick fighter. The fighter does better in a fight because that's the realization that it's a fight you're in. It's not a self-defense situation, it's a fight. Which means that if you're able to fight, you're going to do pretty well. But if you're not able to fight, then I hope you brought your running shoes, because it's really just, self-defense is more for rabbits. If you can run, great. But if you can't, you're in a real bad spot. You've got to have a way not only to deflect their attacks, but the method and the mindset to hit back. All right, that's a hard one for people to swallow. If they come into it like, I don't know, I don't want to hit anybody, I don't want to hurt anybody. It's like, well, no, nobody wants to hurt anybody, but if they want to hurt you, you may have to. And if you're not able to, well, then that's off the list. You can't resort to that. Now you must get away or you suffer. So that's one thing I don't want for any of you, is to find yourself in a situation where you need to be able to dish out force and attack, and you just didn't have it. You thought it would just be, defense, 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 defense. Same thing in boxing. If all you do is defend, that guy's going to eventually get to you. He's going to eventually hit you. He's going to throw combinations and hit past whatever you're putting up there. He'll find you. So you got to hit back, and that's what defense is. Last thing I'll say is we tend to look at defense as a means to offense. All right, it is not an end in itself. It is a means to setting up your offense. If that's on your mind, then you're looking at their attack as this thing that comes and it's getting out of the way so I can hit. I'm just kind of clearing it and getting to them, not just staying back here and absorbing it and trying to dodge everything. That doesn't tend to work out well, even though it fits with a lot of people's sensibilities about the situation. It doesn't tend to work out in reality very well. Better to know how to attack. The ability to hurt somebody if you have to. That's a fighter.